I'm Samantha Tomlinson.
And I'm Kevin Tracy. Welcome back, everybody. I'm really excited for this episode. What about you, Sam?
Yep, this is our first episode of our summer series. If anyone was with us last year, we every like June through August we cover what we consider, I don't know, any good movie to watch during the summer. But I gotta admit, I feel like today's movie, I would watch it at any point in the year. But I
Yeah,
feel like it came out. It did come out in May. But anyway, what are we doing
I
this?
feel like this. Yeah, this movie. I agree with you. I feel like it transcends seasons and can pretty much just be watched at any point in time. And no one really bat an eye because today we're doing Shrek.
And I think I thought about Shrek like a year ago. Like, oh, maybe we should do it. But then I looked it up
I
and I realized, oh, this year, 2021, it's going to be 20 years old. So maybe we should wait.
Yeah, which kind of blows my mind because
It does not seem like 20 years.
not at all, even though, like, I remember seeing this movie, like, in theaters
Yeah.
when I was a kid and the going to Burger King and getting, like, the toys were all Shrek themed, and they were all,
Oh my God. Yeah.
like, they were, like, Smartie, like, dispensers, not Pez dispensers, but they were just, like, Smartie Banks. Like, I forget what they were actually called, but they just had Smarties, like, the worst candy to give a child because it's just chalk with sugar.
You don't like Smarties?
I hate
Your
Smarties.
teachers never passed out Smarties?
Oh no, they did. I just didn't eat them because it's just sugar flavored chalk. It's disgusting.
um, yeah, I don't.
What kind of cruel and unusual punishment is it to give Smarties to a
Yeah,
child?
I don't remember the Smartie. I don't remember the Smartie Banks. Maybe I had one. I don't know. But yeah, that sounds accurate. Like Burger King always. I feel like it used to be McDonald's, and then Burger King kind of took over with like movie advertising and toys and all that.
Well, I mean, like they weren't the only ones.
No, no.
Like I know, like Carl's Jr. Like Taco Bell had toys. Like I remember, um, back when they still had like a kids meal. When the '98 Godzilla movie came out, they had a bunch of uh Taco Bell exclusive like toys and merchandise, and I have a couple of them.
Oh,
Um, because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
me and I love Godzilla. But yeah, no. Going back to this movie, I remember seeing this in theaters when I was a kid, and I had to like when you said it's like, oh, we should do this for this week's episode. I had to think back. It's like, when was the last time I saw this? Because I have not seen this in probably I want to say 8 years.
I
Prior to recording this.
I I'm like 99% sure I saw it in theaters. Like I'm sure I saw it in theaters. I vaguely remember. I remember my family going to see the second one in theaters. Um but
The superior sequel.
which we're gonna definitely talk about, like, because this movie, yeah, I actually I feel like I watched this, not say pretty often, but I've seen it more in the last 8 years. At least I've watched it more than that. Like, I my sister and I actually, last year during quarantine, we had a Shrekathon. So me and her, one of her friends, we all just hung
Yep.
out and watched it, and watched the first three because, well, fourth one is, it's really bad. It's terrible. It's garbage. But my sister, I'm trying to convince my sister, maybe every couple of years, maybe we should watch the fourth one. So, and she hates the fourth one mainly because of the it's a lack of ensemble, because of which will, I don't know, maybe we'll talk about the plot, but it's like I get it, but I'm like, it's still part of the movie.
It's
It's
just
still part of the franchise.
yeah, yeah, it's part of the rich lore of
But it is
Shrek.
the worst for sure. Like, but uh
Yeah, I mean, it's oh yeah, no, like out of all four of them, like it's definitely like the weakest link, but it's not like a crime against humanity that your sister makes that out to be.
yeah. But
Like you
yeah,
make it out like
yeah.
you make your sister seem like this breaks the Geneva Convention. This movie should be
See, that's
burned.
how I felt for a long time, but I think because I haven't seen it in a long time, I kind of want to watch it again. But we this year did it again. We had a Shrekathon and we watched again the first three. And it was fun because I think because it was three, we actually made the effort and watched all of them. You know, like when you say like when you're with your friends like, "Hey, we're going to watch all these movies," and then you just watch one or like half of one because you all lose interest. And we
Yeah.
actually like it's fun, and we watched um like do you remember at the end? I don't know if it was. Oh, I think it wasn't on. Oh, it was on the DVD that I have. But we had the Shrek VHS growing up, and it had the
I still have the Shrek
and
VHS. I still
right
have that.
after the right after the ending, it rolls into the Shrek and Fiona karaoke dance party. So I make everybody I make
they're
everybody watch that, and then after Shrek 2, we go into the bonus features or whatever, and we do Far Far Away Idol.
yes, with starring Simon
And that's
Cowell.
such a like because that was like at the height, not the height. That was when American Idol was really like such a thing, and which is still a thing, obviously, but with Simon, and it's so topical almost
The-
like
yeah, it really was. It which kind of makes the movie kind of dated, but in a kind of a hilarious
yeah, these
way.
movies like first of all, even the animation I think holds up pretty well. I think there is kind of this weirdly timelessness to it. I don't think there's not really any jokes that I feel are. I mean, again, this is a movie definitely meant for kids and families, but it's very. I don't know. I was just kind of still impressed. Like, there's nothing out about it that's completely outdated. Everything just
Yeah,
it
I
holds
mean
up.
the animation. Yeah, although I will have to say the animation like greatly improved over
Yes,
time.
for sure, for sure.
I remember it was like an interview with like one of like the head animators from DreamWorks, and they were kind of talking about like random stuff like like clothing effects and like hair particles because like in the first one the basically like Fiona's hair was basically just like a singular model and they couldn't really animate individual strands of hair. But then when they got to the fourth one, like Fiona's hair is just full on like each hair like follicle is like almost like hand animated.
Mm.
Like there's different like layers of hair rather than just one singular model piece, which I thought was really cool that over the time that they've been able to improve on their arts like that
That
much.
yeah.
And like the difference between that is night and day now when you look
I'm more
back on it.
surprised because there's a scene in this where when Shrek first meets Donkey and he yells at him and he screams at him, like try to scare him away, and Donkey's fur is like blowing from the air, and I don't think I ever noticed. I was like, because
Yeah.
it like that was, and I was kind of like, I didn't notice that before. This is also, I think the last couple times I've watched this, I've noticed things that I haven't noticed before. Like I'm like, wait, so I don't think I noticed. Maybe I noticed that before. I don't know, but I was like, that surprises me that all of the hair is like I'm assuming it's the same for Donkey was not an individual, but yeah, I think also just DreamWorks.
I for the most part, like it was like well, it's not like every individual like strand was like animated later on, but it was like one singular like model asset that they had to move individually. So for like hair ripples like that, they had to I think what the process was they had to individually animate each like ripple
Hmm.
like frame by frame in order to get the effect of like his hair his fur waving when
Yeah,
Shrek's roaring, which that sounds like an incredibly
yeah.
tedious process for a scene that you just now
Um,
noticed.
I mean, again, I might have. I don't know. I don't know if I've noticed it before. I was thinking about it this time around, at least. But yeah, DreamWorks.
Yeah.
I I really I love DreamWorks. They make really fantastic movies. There was I feel like you might agree. I think in the 90s when Disney was just like it was home run after home run for them with the Renaissance period. And
Yes, they're the juggernaut
all
that
of
they
these
are.
other companies uh, particularly Fox, um, were trying really hard to copy Disney. And nostalgia critics' term for it is Diet Disney. And it's true, it is Diet Disney. It's like they're trying really hard to make a Disney movie without putting in the effort. They're like trying to get the same result and the same like character types and whatnot, but they're not putting in the effort and the
Oh,
character development to make it
a-
stick or make it strong. And yeah,
absolutely. I think the best example of that is
no,
Anastasia.
no. The best example of that is Swan Princess. Anastasia, I think.
Agree to disagree.
No,
Although
no. Anastasia, you have not seen Anastasia in a long time. Anastasia is very well
no,
done.
Anastasia's great.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing
oh,
with you.
no.
Like Anastasia's great. I'm just saying that like,
Oh,
you know, like
oh, the best example.
I mean
Oh,
Christopher Lloyd Christopher Lloyd as Rasputin, that song
no, that's Jim.
his villain
That's
song
Jim.
is
That's
like
not Christopher Lloyd. I thought that was Jim Cummings.
I thought it
No,
was
it's
Christopher
Jim Cummings. I
Lloyd.
think Christopher Lloyd's in something. I think he's in.
I'm looking this
But
up.
okay, but anyway, no. And to me, Anastasia is a perfect example of a movie coming of the up until this time. Okay, I feel like what I meant was I think we were thinking the same thing, but I thought
Yeah, it's Christopher
okay
Lloyd.
in Anastasia.
Yeah, he's the voice of
I'm
Rasputin.
maybe Jim Cummings is the singing voice then.
I
Anyway,
don't know.
okay. Anyway, I think Anastasia, yes, is a perfect example of a studio actually putting in the effort and the movie coming into its own. Like it's a good movie, whereas Swan Princess, for example, I think is very yes, you have princess, you have prince, you have the like it's just copy paste and they didn't put in the effort to make it a strong story. And I think Anastasia, yeah, was the first one that actually, at least the first one that I can think of, that actually is a very strong, got a strong cast. It's really funny. It's got like it's like got fairy tale aspects, but also I've been thinking about this actually. Like it's got a lot of conflict because it's based on loosely based on some real stuff. Um,
Yeah, some kind of heavy stuff
yes,
in like the
yes,
in our early history.
but DreamWorks, I think, started around the same time, was starting to find some success with like Prince of Egypt. And I remember,
Yeah,
yeah,
they really started to find their groove in like not necessarily 2D animation, but more yeah, like I guess that technically qualifies as 2D animation. A lot of their cartoon movies, but yeah, Prince of Egypt, stuff like that
Prince of,
was
yeah,
when they really started to find their
Prince of
groove.
Egypt, I actually watched a few years ago and either I had seen it before, I think I had maybe seen it when I was really little. I didn't really remember it that much. I remember like random scenes, but I
Yeah,
was
same.
very I think because it's on a religious story, I was expecting it to be kind of preachy and it wasn't like at all. If anything, a
Like a
little
little
bit,
bit
but
at
if
times, but not it wasn't
no,
in
if
your
anything,
face.
I thought they used religion as a way to be like artistic and it was like a way to tell the story, but it wasn't necessarily overly preachy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I thought the music was really great. I did have I think narratively
Again the villain song was great.
oh yeah, you have Ray Fiennes, Voldemort being the pharaoh that won't set
Yeah,
set
yeah.
his people free.
Yeah,
But
oh god, who were his priests that were singing the
oh
song? It
oh
was
Martin Short and Steve Martin.
thank you. It was like two of the three amigos. I can't remember which two.
But
It's like you're playing with the big boys now. It's like
but
that is
yeah, it's a
fantastic.
but it was a good like I think narratively there were a few issues, but for the most part it was a pretty strong movie. And then Road to El Dorado, which I gotta say
I felt like that was their high note.
that's what's actually it's funny. That was their first uh, movie to not make a profit.
Yeah, which
It doesn't make any sense because that's one of those movies that everybody loves. So why
yeah,
it didn't do well, I don't
that
understand.
soundtrack is by far one of my favorite soundtracks from any animated movie to this day, including Disney.
And
Sorry,
then,
Disney, but
and yeah,
no, this is great.
well,
It's tough to be a god is a like my favorite song from that movie.
it's Hans Zimmer and teaming up with Elton John, who teamed up for The Lion King. So I think it's Hans Zimmer in this, but in that. But anyway,
I can't. I don't remember.
but anyway, yeah, I think Road to El Dorado, despite not being the major success, like obviously people still love it and watch it. Like I feel like it's one of those movies that everybody loves, and I don't understand why it didn't do well. But Shrek is when
Yeah.
it really kind of found its stride. Um,
Yeah.
and
With their, because I think that was kind of like one of their first like 3D animated movies. Like this and Ice Age were kind of like the first of,
is Ice
not
Age
really the first of its
DreamWorks?
yeah, that was
Oh,
DreamWorks.
okay.
Yeah, like it was like these movies were kind of like what kind of paved the way for like a lot of their like later 3D like movies, like Despicable Me, How to Train Your Dragon, Monsters vs. Aliens, like all their like 3D animated stuff kind of started with Shrek and Ice Age. I can't remember which came out first,
Wait,
but
I don't think. Wait, so Ice Age came out 2000, like a year later, but I don't think.
yeah.
I thought Despicable Me is Illumination. I don't think that's DreamWorks.
Oh
But anyway, uh,
shit, never mind.
but anyway,
But it paved the way for movies
yes,
like that to come out.
yes, um, but anyway, I think yeah, it found its stride with Shrek, and it's because it was doing a fairy tale, but adding, not only was it adding like very, and it did it very subtly, very nicely. They add like modern day conveniences that we're familiar with. So like when they get
Yeah,
to Duloc, it's got that like the that metal like rotating thing that you walk through when you're in a line. It has the
yeah.
like
Well,
felt like gate.
yeah, they basically made like Duloc look like downtown Disney. Like that's basically what it was kind of like making fun of,
Yeah,
especially with like
a parking
the
lot. Um, and
yeah.
then but also this was, but also it was like a fairy tale where they have like jokes about like burping and like farting and things that like obviously people do that Disney would. I mean, they did, I guess, mention it in Lion King, but those are animals. But
Yeah, this is more of like, it was kind of like a, I guess kind of like a riff on like classical fairy tales, because
yes,
like every, like if you've seen like one fairy tale movie, you've basically seen them all, and this one's like, yeah, we're gonna put our own spin on this because we're tired of seeing the same song and dance with literally every Disney princess movie, because that's basically what this is. It's just a kind of a gross, not really gross, but like a Disney princess movie with, I guess, an odd or like an ironic twist to make it seem like it isn't.
yeah. I mean, you have, first of all, you have a princess who she wants the whole like fanfare of being rescued and all and the romance and all that, but she but she also is, you can see maybe you could say a little bit, maybe a little bit of a control freak. She wants to have control and all of that, but obviously she can't. and and
Yeah,
um and like like the scene where she's singing just out, it's morning and she finds a bird and starts singing, and then the bird explodes because she goes so high, and then and
classic.
then takes its eggs and cooks them. Like that's that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And I don't think I laughed as much as a kid
Seriously.
at that. But also the fact that not only is like the royalty, the prince, I mean Lord Farquaad is the bad guy, but the fact that the monster gets with the princess, and and the whole like topic of like he, because yeah, it's not, he, like he says, he doesn't have an issue with the world has an issue with him. So whenever he like obviously fights back, it's because he just wants to be left alone. Because like at the beginning, yeah, he's not going out of his way to hunt down these hunters who are trying to kill him. He just wants to be left alone.
Yeah,
He won't bother you.
yeah, it's like, I'm just chilling in my swamp. I'm just living my best life. Let me just smash mouth. You guys just leave me
But
alone.
I think and this movie is actually the first, I think, to beat Pixar and Disney at the Oscars. Um
I believe you're right. Yeah,
DreamWorks doesn't actually, let me look. I'm wondering if it also won, hang on, sorry. But like
I know it was definitely
it,
nominated.
it won. I know it
But
won. I just don't know if it won something. Oh,
yeah,
so it won Best Animated Feature, and it was nominated for Best Screenplay. Um, I'm surprised the score wasn't nominated because it's a really beautiful score. It's
it is a good
like
one. Yeah.
I'm holding off on talking about the soundtrack, but it's a really beautiful score, and it's
You're holding up for a hero. Oh wait, that's Shrek 2. Never mind.
it's
Never mind.
Harry. It's so the composer is Harry Gregson Williams and John Powell, and John Powell actually also did. He was the one of the composers for How to Train Your Dragon, which is another really beautiful score. Um,
I really like the How to Train
yeah,
Your Dragon
I love How to Train Your
movies.
Dragon. They're so good. They're so good. I think
Yeah.
that's like I think DreamWorks found its stride with Shrek, and then obviously How to Train Your Dragon was like a couple years later, and it just from there it's just like forget about it. DreamWorks makes such good does such good work, and but I think they also just they tell stories that they tell stories differently than Disney. They tell stories that Disney doesn't tell, which is as they should. It's a completely different studio, and I think that's what I so appreciated so much about like even like going back to like Anastasia, which is not DreamWorks, that's Fox, but I
Yeah.
appreciated when they were stopped. All these companies stopped copying and pasting because Disney found its formula. It found its way to make hits. Copying is not how you're necessarily going to have a hit, and not even
Yeah.
copying it well. So I appreciated that. Like now, these studios are actually they're doing things in their own way and coming into their own, and that's why they're memorable. That's why they're good because it's
Yeah.
not Disney. It's something
Absolutely.
else. We have Disney. We need something different, and this was so different. And
Yeah. And
yeah,
speaking of different, I feel like it's a lot more unique because DreamWorks kind of deals with a lot more like adult jokes and like adult humor than Disney does. Like Disney will like maybe kind of sneak in like a joke like for like the parents or for like not for like its target demographic, which is, let's be honest, it's primarily for little kids or young
mm-hmm.
adults. Whereas DreamWorks, on the other hand, they'll throw in like a couple jokes that are like geared specifically towards the parents that are going to go way over the
They're
kids'
geared for the
heads.
parents,
So
but I feel like they're done well enough and they're subtle enough that I think a kid like okay the the two main adult jokes from this, I think, are when they Shrek and Donkey arrive at Duloc and they see the like tower or the fortress, the
the
castle,
castle,
and Shrek's like, "Do you think?" And he doesn't know anything about Lord Farquaad, but he's like, "Do you think he's compensating for something?" And as an audience, the joke is like, "Oh, for kids, oh, it's because Farquaad is really short." Shrek doesn't know that. For Shrek, he's making a dick joke.
yeah, exactly, which is
But
hilarious
that's a crafted
because
joke because there's two sides to it. The kids are gonna pick up on one, the adults are gonna pick up on the other.
yeah, which I absolutely love that. And there was like a couple other like hidden jokes in there that's like, oh, this wouldn't be in a Disney movie, or actually no, it might be with like the three little bears,
Oh, with
the
the
three
mama
bear
bear
Goldilocks
is
and three
the
bears.
that was
Yeah,
horrible.
is turned into a
Oh
rug.
my god. So that
It's like now, yeah. Looking back on that, it's like no, that would probably be in a Disney movie. You need to have at least one dead parent in a Disney movie.
that or the other one I think is when Shrek is rescuing Fiona and he has to go get Donkey because Donkey's with the dragon. And he's like, I gotta go
Yeah,
save my ass. And I think as a kid, I didn't understand. The thing is, that joke was a very, like, I did not understand at the time. I was maybe 5 that, uh, that
oh,
a
yeah,
donkey is called an ass. I think I knew ass was butt. So I
yeah.
think that's what I thought he was referring to. And it wasn't until later.
I thought I
Which
thought
maybe
that
that was the
too,
joke
and
for
yeah,
maybe that was it was still technically a bad word, but maybe that was the joke for kids because I don't know. Again, as a 5-year-old, why would I know that I know donkey, I don't know ass.
yeah. It was just kind of like he said a
But there's
no word.
also
Yeah. Watching this as a
but
kid,
there is also one joke. I don't know if it was actually a joke or if it's just something that every like people our age have picked up on. But that scene where Farquaad is in bed with like a martini
I
and
know.
he's
Yeah,
watching. It's just a picture of Fiona, and then he picks up his blanket a little, and it's everyone. Then everyone's it's implying that he has a boner, but it's like, was that intended? Was that just I? Because I think as a kid, I
probably.
thought it was like was either he's like naked or he's not wearing a shirt, whatever, and he's just like feeling self conscious a little. I don't know. I thought he was awkward as a kid. That's what I thought. I didn't always get it until way older.
I honestly don't remember what I was thinking about that scene as a kid, but yeah, looking back on that, it's like, no, he's this dude's about to have some private
Ugh.
alone time with the mirror. I felt so bad for that mirror looking back on it. That thing's a lot. That dude's alive. The dude's like that dude's basically a TV, and he has to
Oh my
watch
god.
this dude. It's like that is just
But
traumatizing.
we actually,
Um,
this is a good time to
so
talk about Farquaad because this is voiced by John Lithgow,
yeah,
who does such a great job, and he's such a great villain. He's just this like pretentious douche that just wants everything. He wants everything to be perfect, which obviously it's life. Life can't be perfect. You can't get rid of people because they're ruining, like he says, ruining your perfect world.
they're
But
different.
I, but I do. What I don't get is how. So when the mirror tells him, technically you're not a king. You have to marry a princess. It's like that doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
he's Lord
You're a
Farquaad.
lord. You don't become a. That's not. That's not how it works. Unless.
I mean, it's that's
Oh
how it
wait.
works in
Well, okay.
Disney.
Actually,
So
wait. Oh, if he marries. Well, no. If he marries a princess. So actually, it's in. Actually, if you marry into a kingdom, and okay, if like a man marries into a kingdom, he would still be prince and the princess would become queen because they don't want he can't be higher than the woman in her own kingdom. But if it's the opposite, then she can be
yeah,
queen. So it just doesn't. I'm like, he's a lord. So marrying a princess, okay, he marries a princess, but like
I don't think we
it
really
doesn't
need to
make
break down the
sense.
semantics of royal lineage and marriage for a 2001 animated kids
But
movie,
okay,
Sam. I don't think there's that much
but
logic in there.
anyway, the
So yeah, let's just kind of jump into the cast since you mentioned
but
John Lithgow.
the reveal of I when I was we were watching this when I was my sister and our friends were watching this, the reveal of Farquaad being short is so great and so well done.
Oh yeah. With the
Did
gingerman bread man being waterboarded in a glass of milk. I thought that was really clever looking back on it.
I think, but just the we see him like he's putting his gloves on, he's walking, and then the way the picture is, you see just a shoulder, and then he's like, oh, he's like 3 feet. And it's like what? And in the I don't know if you've seen the Shrek the musical, but the joke there you find out later his dad is grumpy or something. Um,
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
are you serious?
Um, but then we get into, I think, again, a line that again I went over my head as a kid was the whole interrogation. Okay, do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin
The
Man?
Muffin Man?
The
The
Muffin
Muffin
Man!
Man!
Well, she's
Yes, I know the
married.
Muffin Man.
It's just I don't think I knew the Muffin Man song, but I didn't realize that they're
My,
just saying the song.
yeah, my mom had to explain that to me when I was like in the movie theater. It's like what's going on? What, I don't get this. It's like it's a rhyme. It's like oh okay, and like she had to explain it to me afterwards.
Because
But
we know the song, we don't know. We don't think we know the lyrics, but we know the lyrics associated
no,
with the
I did,
song.
well when I was a
Yeah.
kid, I didn't know the lyrics. Like I
Oh.
I'd never
Okay.
I'd never heard of the
Oh.
Muffin Man
Oh.
prior to this movie.
Okay.
Like
So
like I knew Goldilocks, I knew like Billy Goat's Gruff, like I knew all of these. I didn't really know Gingerbread Man that much, other than you can't catch me, I'm the Gingerbread Man. That was pretty much the only thing I knew. I didn't know the Muffin Man bit.
doesn't he? Yeah, I don't even remember that. Doesn't he get like eaten at the end?
Yeah, yeah, like a dog catches him and it eats him.
Yeah.
You know, thanks, Grim Fairy Tales.
Um. But so we actually we want to keep. I wanted to talk about the scene because then this is when he does like bachelorette game of picking who's going to be his
Oh
bride.
yeah.
Despite living with 7 other men, she's not easy. Snow White, and but I realized later, the when the dwarves are sent to uh, when Shrek finds all the fairy tale creatures in a swamp, the dwarves have Snow White with her.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
like, oh no no, get the dead broad off my table. Well, we
so
can't put her here. The bed's taken.
and the
It's the
wolf,
it's the wolf. It's like what?
but then wouldn't like either Farquaad or whoever wins the tournament was gonna go get her. They were gonna have to just go to the swamp.
Yeah, probably.
So, um, let's okay. So yeah, let's talk more about this cast. So yeah, it's Cameron Diaz is Fiona, which I
Eddie
haven't.
Murphy
Eddie
is, yeah.
Murphy is just Eddie Murphy's. I feel like he's one of those voices. He has such a recognizable voice. Yet to me, this sounds. I know it's Eddie Murphy, but to me, this sounds like Donkey. It's not.
This sounds like Mushu to me.
I don't hear Mushu. Like I know it's Mushu, but I don't hear Mushu. I hear Donkey.
Yeah.
I think it's just characters are so different. Um,
Yeah.
and then Shrek is Mike Myers, and
Yeah, which I actually it kind of blew my mind a little bit. Mike Myers wasn't the first choice for Shrek for voice casting. It was actually Chris Farley, the late Chris Farley. And there's actually some unused like test like audio. Like he auditioned for it and everything. He got the part, but he unfortunately passed away before the movie was
when did he
further
pass
into
away?
production. I don't remember. It was like late 90s, I
So
believe.
they were already probably developing this then.
Yeah, like the animation
Oh,
that
it's
they did it
97.
yeah, like it's just storyboards that he's just voicing over, and they're kind of just flipping through it, and it's like, "Donkey, get out of my swamp!" And like the Chris Farley, I can't do a Chris Farley impersonation, but you get the idea. But it was just
Yeah,
it would have been a completely different movie, I feel like, if Chris Farley was Shrek instead of Mike Myers. I mean, don't get me wrong, Myers is great, but I kind of would have liked to see like in a special editions in a Shrek DVD on like unused stuff and like all the extras of like the Chris Farley take
yeah.
um, of just like his unused audio, which would have been really interesting because
I
you can find it on YouTube
yeah.
actually.
I'm not that familiar with Chris. I know Chris Farley, but I think I've seen like a couple of uh I've seen a few like SNL sketches he was in, but I'm
Yeah,
not.
the van down by the river.
No, actually, it was the
You've never seen that one?
no.
Oh, I have some homework for you
I've
then.
seen maybe one of my favorite sketches ever. It was when Jerry Seinfeld is a history teacher, and the entire class, they're all just incredibly stupid. And the other was uh, it was like it was like a Chippendale audition. It was like a dancer. It
Yes,
was
but
him and
Patrick
Patrick Swayze,
Swayze.
and they're just like,
Yep.
oh, we just can't decide. Like you're like I think those are the only two that I've I've
It's like
notably seen. Um,
it's like Patrick Swayze's there, yes, but Chris Farley, just do that again. It's so hypnotic. Like they're like so enthralled, and he's just like dancing around like a lunatic.
I think I heard my sister's boyfriend. I think he had mentioned that actually kind of it made he I for some reason he did not have a good was not in a good state after that. Apparently, like he was very aware that they were laughing at him because of his body type. I think I don't know that much about it.
I don't, yeah, I don't really
Um,
know
but anyway,
enough
yeah,
about Chris Farley to make
yeah. I don't.
an assessment on that level.
But
I was aware that he had uh a little bit of a drug problem, and
mm,
and that was one of the causes to his death. I think he died of like a heart attack when he eventually passed away, which is really unfortunate because he was an incredibly funny guy.
he was really young. He
Uh,
was 33.
yeah, extremely young, and I remember this is a little off topic, but I do remember I think it was like a year or two ago, Adam Sandler hosted SNL, and uh, during the show, he did a musical tribute to Chris Farley, and it's like, oh my god, I was not expecting to cry over something Adam Sandler did.
Huh.
Like that was it was incredibly like heart wrenching because like they were like best of friends, and it's like, oh yeah, like I was gonna put him in like all my movies and stuff like this, like him, Rob Schneider, David Spade, like we were all gonna like do all these movies, and like now I can only like see him on YouTube now. It's like
Hmm.
that is so sad, but
Yeah.
yeah, it would have been completely different had Chris Farley been in this movie. I'm like trying to wrap my head around how different of a movie this would have been. Would it have been as iconic as it is with Mike Myers,
Mike Myers just,
or would it have kind of died in the water? Uh,
I think the
yeah,
script was so good that I don't think I think it still would have been successful. I think it's just Shrek himself might have been a little bit different. Mike Myers just nails it, and the I think that I had heard, I don't know if this is accurate, but I had heard that so he doesn't give Shrek the Scottish accent, and I guess it was like a voice his grandmother used when she was like telling him a story or something, or maybe it was her actual accent. I don't remember, but it was like an accent associated with someone he knew, and I never even realized it was Scottish. It is Scottish, but it was just I always just heard it as it's Shrek's voice. I didn't think that much of it because
yeah.
he's the only one that has an accent. I mean, some of the characters do have like kind of prim, like regal accents, but
Well, like Robin Hood shows up. He straight up has like a French accent. He's credited as Monsieur Hood.
like yeah, okay, yeah. But I mean, Fiona, Shrek, and Farquaad don't have.
Yeah, no, all the main cast do not have
Oh my god,
accents.
I
Yes, I
love
agree
that
with
Robin
you.
Hood scene. It's just, and I love when the merry men start their dance and they're behind the bushes. You see one of the bushes falls over to make it clear to the audience that this is a prop, that this is a set piece, that they are just hanging out waiting to do this. But this scene also,
I mean, what a way to live a
right? But
life.
this scene was also just, to kind of showcase, like, this entire sequence was to showcase that Fiona is not, for sure, not your normal princess. I mean,
She's not a damsel in
for
distress.
no, for I mean, a few minutes before she had just blown up a bird. Then Shrek burps, and then she burps, and then she starts to just like very like do a very princess thing of just walking down the path in the woods and starts singing. She's then kidnapped, or not kidnapped, she's air quotes rescued by Robin Hood, and then she's trying to make it clear she does not need to be rescued, and then she fights all of them. And I love that part where she is doing that kick and she's frozen,
Oh yeah, and
fixes her
it's
crown,
like a full on like it's like a Matrix like rotation spin around them,
but
which
yeah,
is
and she
hilarious.
fixes her crown, but the way her legs go, it's just so quick. And like, and Shrek and Donkey are just like, what? Like, and then we find out in like the third one that she gets all this from her mom, who's Julie Andrews, which makes it even better. Um, um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't remember the sequels. The only thing I really remember from the sequels is like I remember the majority of the second one, and mainly the ending because of how iconic the ending is.
the
But
the third one is it's okay, it's fun, and I think it's really funny. It's got a lot of really good jokes, which is why I really like it. I go back and forth actually on whether the second or the first one was my favorite. I think at the time the second one was definitely my favorite. But or it's not even favorite because people are saying like no, the second one's the best one, and I go back and forth on even
yeah,
if I think if it's the first or the second. And when we were doing Shrekathon, my sister's boyfriend kind of he said it really well. He said, "I think the second one is better, but the second one could not have been better or that good if the first one wasn't so good."
it elevated on what was already
Yes,
great.
yes. It basically like they have like we talked about how they have like these little mundane normal like little thing like a parking lot or you know they have a gift shop.
A Starbucks
They don't have a Starbucks in this one. That's the next one.
in the
The
second
second one
in the
in
second
this
in the second one they
yeah,
do.
and then they just build off of that and like far away. I think it's supposed to be was it say they said like Rodeo Drive or it's supposed to be like Beverly Hills or something.
Yeah, it's basically like Hollywood. Like the far away sign supposed to be like the
Yeah,
Hollywood sign.
and it just and but also because now it's reversed. It's now Shrek has the opportunity to be the prince that Fiona always wanted, and it's such a good and Donkey's the steed, the noble steed that he
Yeah.
and then the whole point is like, yeah, this is great, but that's not who we are. so we can, and it's just it's a great, it's a really great, it's definitely, I go back and forth on it, if the movie itself is actually better. They're both so good, but I do agree that the second one could not be so good if the first one wasn't so good.
Yeah. Well, I also think that the first one is probably more superior because it does kind of it has a really good lesson to it. It's just
Yes.
like, don't yeah, like it kind of has like the same lesson as kind of like Beauty and the Beast of like, don't judge a book by its
Hmm.
cover, and it's like beauty lies within rather than what's on the outside. And that's what like a lot of people kind of associate with this movie because Shrek has like that like not really like heart to heart, but more of like a he yells at Donkey. It's like, no, like people look at me and then they run, they scream, they just like, run, it's a stupid ugly ogre. And I take that to heart. It's like I'm just gonna like chill in my swamp where no one was going to yell at me or throw a pitchfork or a torch at me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I feel like the second one adds a little bit to that. It doesn't really have a new lesson, the second one. It just adds more to that and really just enforces
Hmm.
that because he kind of goes through that same thing of like, oh, I'm not good enough for Fiona because her parents don't approve because like her whole life she wanted a Prince Charming esque character and I'm just me. I'm just an ogre.
Yeah.
And it's just like the movie like both movies just kind of deal with like the same like um insecurity
Yes.
issues, which I feel like resonate with a lot more people than like the problems of the third and the fourth movie, which don't really have as relatable of a moral lesson that the first two have. Because I
Yeah.
feel like
The
everyone can at least in some way relate to Shrek in at least the first one or the second one of like, am I good enough for this person? Am I really ugly? Am I the problem, or is it everyone else just have a
Well, the
problem?
third one, the it's more of a, like, am I ready to be a dad? Am I not gonna, whatever. Like, it's that stuff, which is very, we've all seen before. As,
Yeah, I
yeah, no,
know,
no,
but
no,
I
no.
mean, for
But
like a kid watching that's not gonna
no,
have that
but also
issue.
the but no, I mean, like, we've all, like, I feel like even a kid has seen that, like, storyline. But that, and also the, he doesn't want to, well, he doesn't, I guess him not wanting to be king isn't really, that's just what leads the storyline. But that's not, like, he's not debating,
Yeah,
oh, would I be a good king? No, he doesn't want to be king, which is,
yeah. He immediately just skirts off that entire
yeah.
responsibility. He's like, really, your father-in-law's dying wish, and he makes you king. He's like, how do I get rid of this? Like, dude, you haven't even done it
But
yet.
yeah, I agree. The second one's definitely just very well building off of the first one. And I think with the other thing about this is that I think the first one, yeah, the second one is the what, because Shrek just realizes, eventually realizes, he loves Fiona, he wants to be with her. It's not as much, he doesn't really have insecurities about it later. I mean, actually, there are insecurities because there is that line, that part where he's gonna go profess his love to her. He overhears her talking to Shrek, and she's talking about herself, thinking like,
Talking to Donkey,
talking to Donkey, talk about herself as,
being
I
an
have
ogre.
to be, yes, and she, like, princess and ugly don't go together. And then I realized, when the next day when she decides, okay, I'm gonna tell Anitza Shrek that I love him, and he comes back, and she thinks, he basically thinks she was basically saying to Donkey, like, I can't be with Shrek, he's ugly and he's an ogre. And she thinks he's basically saying he doesn't want to be with her because she's an ogre. And I looked and I realized she has actually tears in her eyes. Like, she's not crying, but there is actually water in her eyes. And I'm like, oh my, I never noticed that before. It was like such good
I don't think I
animation.
noticed that either.
I still think it could have been just her eyes, but I'm pretty sure there were, like, tears in her eyes. Um, but but I just think this scene, and then this goes into, I think, one of the best songs on this soundtrack, Hallelujah. Which,
Oh yeah,
we gotta just talk. This is one
the
of the
sound.
best soundtracks ever in a movie.
Yeah, right off the bat, it starts off with the song that every single person, even if you haven't seen the movie or really listened to the song, you immediately associate this song with this movie. and that is All Star by Smash Mouth.
Was this song
Some
made for the movie or did it already
I I
exist? I
I
never
think
heard
it
of it
was
before the movie.
I haven't heard of it either. I'm not really that
I'm gonna look it up.
well versed when it comes to some music, but if I had to guess, I would say that this song was made for this movie, or would just happen to be like kind of popular as it came out and just immediately used it because. But
Oh yeah, no,
I
it
don't think
it
the
it was not written for the movie,
okay
but that's I think that helped it
that's
made it more and more popular. I think it was
yeah
already
no
number
no
it
one
was number one. I think before I don't know. I was like 5. I wasn't listening to Smash
yeah, it's
Mouth.
like, oh, I'm gonna listen to some Smash Mouth when I'm 5, going into preschool. Let's do this. I'm gonna be the coolest kid on the playground.
But so it's one of
Um,
those songs like everybody, I feel like, especially in our generation, knows, and yeah, associates it with Shrek,
yeah,
and like we get to the finger and a thumb shaped on an L on her forehead, and we all put it on our foreheads, or maybe just I do.
yeah, no, like it's so iconic that you can immediately just say one word and everyone will just like take off of it. It's the coolest example of like word association because like for example, I will just say some like that, and everyone will just like buddy what and just you had to hold yourself back, didn't you?
I'm more just thinking, have you just like stepped into like a crowded room and gone, Psalm, waiting for someone to
Yes,
go, Body, what's story?
yes, and it has worked.
Wait, really?
Yes,
What?
100%. You go into a room with crowded people, you say some, and I guarantee
Oh, I
you
thought you saying
some
you.
will take it
I thought you were
away.
saying you did it.
Oh, I
Oh,
have. And it worked. I did that and someone took it away and people were laughing and yeah, it was hilarious.
um, and yeah, there's like you can go on YouTube and almost we've seen so many of those where somebody like takes different clips of like different movies and makes the song like makes All Star. So it's just like somebody going, somebody once told me the word. You've seen the yeah.
Yeah,
It's like who did
oh,
this?
absolutely.
Why did someone
I
do
I think
this?
I definitely saw one where it was Obama's
I
speeches
haven't
and him
seen that.
singing All
I don't
Star.
think I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's like somebody once told me.
Um,
It was
but I
really
think
funny.
just this entire soundtrack is just so good. So that's a great song. We got the Proclaimers. We got Bad Reputation. Like it's really well placed, and then we end with I'm a Believer, also by Smash Mouth. And I
Yeah.
think the next I like the music in the next couple movies, but they are not anywhere near as good. Like, I mean, they're well placed. No.
Uh
Holding Up Our Hero is different. I'm not talking about that.
okay,
No,
okay. It's like a
that's one.
blasphemy,
That's one
madam.
song. I feel like the soundtrack as a whole, like, yes, the song.
Okay,
I
okay.
like the song. I think it's chosen well for the scene. It's just I don't listen to it as often. Holding Up Our Hero though is without a doubt like you've seen that meme of covers. There's not one cover that's better than the original, and it's like
Me, an
and it's
intellectual.
like and it's like no, Shrek's I'm Holding Out for a Hero is the best version of that song. I remember I had a friend once who said they were listening to that song while driving, and she's like, I felt like I was about to go into battle. Which is, I mean, yeah, Shrek is like,
It is like
fine.
it is a really good hype
It's
song.
yeah,
Like that is a great song. That's a great like
because the
workout
stakes are
song.
so high in that scene,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
like, oh my god, we're gonna have so much fun when we talk about Shrek 2, but we are on Shrek 1. Yeah, but it's such a good
so
soundtrack. It's
so
I feel like I listen to it all the time still. um
yeah.
and yeah,
But I yeah, so well, I'm gonna try to pull us
fair
out
enough.
of a Shrek 2 rabbit
Yeah.
hole. So I kind of want to just kind of jump into some like the absurdities of like the story of this movie. So Lord Farquaad like immediately he basically just puts a bounty on like all fairy tale and like fantasy creatures in his realm because like oh it needs to be perfect. It's like okay that's kind of I guess racist. I don't know what that would be because like
Yeah,
that's
or
like an inherent part of this world is that
discrimination.
there's fantasy and yeah, there's like fantasy and magic literally everywhere. So it's just going to be like a only human kind of medieval like setting. Like what's going on here? And it was just, although it was kind of funny seeing all of
Yet he
the
still wants the magic mirror.
like
It's like that's magic. Yeah.
well I well I mean I think he was just kind of using that for his own personal
Yeah, but it's
gain
like,
at
oh,
that point.
so
It's not
yeah.
like it well, it's not like he's gonna give like the mirror like voting rights or something like that. It's like you can own one. It's like he's basically it's like you're a mirror and you're a tool. You're gonna do what I tell you to do. You're not gonna walk out of here and do whatever. But it was kind of funny when you're they're at the I guess the armed caravan and like all the people are like lining up. It's like, all right, what do you have for us? It's like it's a talking wooden puppet. It's like, oh, I'm not a puppet, I'm a real boy. And it's like it's Pinocchio. We got, and this is when we first introduced Donkey. Tinkerbell is there, like
Wait,
all these
that
different
kid.
like
And then
characters.
when Donkey starts flying, and there's the kid who was holding Tinkerbell, going, "He can fly!" And based on how he's dressed, I realized that's supposed to be Peter Pan, which I think as a kid I knew. But then I was thinking about this. I'm like, wait, he's he's giving up Tinkerbell? What the hell? What the hell, Peter? She's like your friend. Why are you giving her up? You can fly away. You don't have to stay. I was just like, uh,
I
shocked.
mean, money is tight in Neverland. What can I
Money's
say?
tight. Yeah. Um. Yeah. That's yeah.
It's like I don't know
I
what
don't
else to
know.
tell you. Money's
I
tight in
don't know.
Neverland.
I have no words for that either. I was just like, he's sending her away before we get to, so she won't grow up and try to kiss him in Hook, like Julia Roberts did.
Yeah,
I'm still upset about that. That was unnecessary. Anyway.
it was
Yeah.
really weird. Yeah.
Um. Yeah. It and but yeah. And then when they're all sent to the swamp, I didn't. So when Shrek hears noise, he thinks it's Donkey, and then Donkey's like, "No, I'm outside." It's like, did he see all these people just show up? How did Shrek not hear all the commotion?
And also, why did Donkey not say anything? They have like a full on like base camp in his front yard. He didn't hear any of this, and Donkey's like, "Oh hey,
Yeah,
they're setting up tents out here." It's like they've clearly been here for a while, and you're now saying something.
I don't get how the wolf just climb in the window and then just get in his bed.
Yeah, yeah. He's always wearing like the same like rainy
Yeah.
outfit.
And then at the end at the wedding, he has his arm on a knight. It's like, oh, that's so great. Like they're so they really thought out like these characters and
Yeah,
the it's just I it's so great.
yeah. Because I think even like it was either the end of Shrek 1 or at some in one of the sequels, like Papa Bear's like dancing with like one of the princesses, like, oh hey, this is your new stepmom, or like there was some kind of joke along
That's
that. I
weird.
can't remember if that was like
That's
no, I can't. No, I can't remember if like that was a joke later
I don't
on in like the end of Shrek 1, but I do remember like Papa Bear's like dancing with like a princess or like some lady, and yeah, I can't remember if that was like a joke carried on. It's been a while since I've
yeah.
seen the sequels, and I saw rewatched Shrek 1 for this, but it was I
Yeah.
wasn't paying attention to that detail. I forgot about
But I love
that
how everybody,
because I forgot about the karaoke thing at the
the
end.
fairy tale creatures are all invited to the wedding. Like, I mean, because like, yeah,
Yeah,
this is their crew and they're gonna be there for the rest of the series. Like, it's great.
yeah.
Um. Yeah.
Although I'm kind of curious to see is like was there like a potential like legal battle with having like Pinocchio in their movie since Pinocchio is a Disney
I mean,
movie, or is that a publicly licensed
Pinocchio was a
character?
story before Disney, so I don't.
Yeah, but I for the most part like when Disney like Disneyfies it, it's pretty much like solely associated with Disney, and I don't know if that
I
technically like they had legal rights to
I would
Disney or to
I would
Pinocchio's
think if
name at that
anything, it
point
was
or not.
just maybe getting the rights for like Grimm's characters. Maybe. Uh, I don't think Disney doesn't. They
Yeah.
own that version of Pinocchio. They do not own, I think, the Pinocchio like in its entirety. I would not think it'd be an
Yeah, no,
issue.
like Yeah, I wasn't sure if like Pinocchio was still like a public domain figure or if they had legal rights to the name of Pinocchio since they did a movie version of him. So
Yeah,
yeah, that was pretty much
I
my
would
question of
think
it
it'd
because I
be
know that
public domain.
yeah, because I know there's different versions of Pinocchio. There's a bunch of like live action. There's like an
Hmm.
Italian version, but like ever since, but I think the cartoon one came out after all of those ones, so I wasn't sure if they had legal rights or claims to the name after that since,
That's a
you
good
know,
point. I
it's
never really thought
Disney.
about that, but I would think most of these
Yeah.
characters know because they're not anyway the Disney version. They are just like all these characters:
Yeah.
Cinderella, Snow White, um, Ginger. None of I mean Gingerbread is not in Disney, but none of these characters are the Disney version. They are just the grim. They're just the we all know of these characters prior.
The
Yeah,
DreamWorks
exactly.
version.
But actually, yeah, speaking of the princes, so we kind of talked before about, I mentioned before about how, you know, Fiona is obviously not, she's not the damsel of distress. It's very clear in the beginning. You can argue that she wants to be a little bit. Like like I said, she wants the fanfare.
She wants to fit the
Yes.
role. Yeah, she wants to fit the role that she's pretty much fantasized about
But I
since she was a
gotta,
little girl, which we learn
but I
later in the
gotta
second
hand it
one.
to, I gotta agree with her though. So yeah, Shrek, I agree with Shrek. She is making his job harder because he's supposed to just bring her to Farquaad. But I do agree with her, if Farquaad cared, why Farquaad should not have sent someone. Farquaad should have should have gone himself to rescue the woman he wants to marry.
I agree, but I think the reason why Farquaad didn't go is one, he's a coward and he's gonna kind of do what's the easiest
He
way,
would not have
and
survived. He would not have
two,
survived.
no, yeah, there's absolutely no way he would have survived. He is
Yeah,
3 feet tall, of and like a max of like 90 pounds. He's not even a
but
snack to the dragon. He would accidentally get
I was thinking like,
stepped on.
let's say he went along, and he was the whole point of the tournament was for someone to go with him. And I realized I feel like it wouldn't, like I was thinking like, what if
Okay,
that's what they did? And I was thinking it wouldn't have changed. I mean, it would have changed because she would have met Farquaad. Farquaad is like, I mean, he's on the table the whole time because that's who she's supposed to marry. But I feel like she still would have bonded with Shrek. She still would have. I feel like
yeah,
the
I feel
movie would have still, the story would have still played out the same way for the most part.
I think the only thing that would have changed a bit would have been the climax of the movie, because by that point they would have been butting heads the entire movie, and he would have seen Fiona and Shrek bonding
Yeah.
throughout the entire journey back to Duloc. So I think the only thing would have changed would
Yeah.
have been the
It
climax of the
it
movie of his out and him, like it's like I'm sure he would have like tried to like take a peek at Fiona when she's like as like asleep and like been like a perv about it. So he would have known, it's like she's an ogre. Like I feel like that reveal would have been a lot sooner too, like on the
um
trip.
maybe, I don't know. That's a good point, but I don't. I can still. I feel like I can still. If anything, I do agree that butting heads, and he would have seen them their relationship develop, and it would have maybe, because the thing is, yeah, he only wants her. I feel like it would have only, yeah, the stakes would have been a little bit higher because then there would have been that whole like, ogre, you're not messing this up for me. I need her because I need to be king. I want to be king. She's gonna be
Yeah,
my wife.
yeah, because he doesn't love her. He's only using her for the sake
Yeah.
of getting more
Um,
power.
and I love at the wedding when they defeat Farquaad and Shrek and Fiona kiss, and if Felonious, he's the like the guy in the like,
The
yeah,
torturer,
he
yeah.
holds up, he like quickly like scrawls on a board and holds up "aw," and the whole audience goes "aw." And I told my sister, I'm like, do you want me to do that if you ever get married? Just hold up a sign that says "aw."
Just put on
No, I mean,
executioner
I wouldn't go
hood.
that far.
Do it. Commit to the bit.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about one of the other great moments when he is playing the like bachelorette game to pick who he's,
Oh, three, number
and
three,
they're
my
going
lord.
one, no, two, two, three, and he's holding up two fingers. Three, pick number three, my lord. Um,
Yeah, all the guards is like, yeah, pick this one, pick two, 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 three, three, one, two, three. Yeah,
but I think,
yeah. Felonious, I feel like, is a very underrated
oh yeah,
character, even though He doesn't really do anything in this movie. He's just kind of there, but he's just so
He's the
funny to
torturer, yet
me.
he's funny. Like,
I felt like he should have gone instead of Shrek. That would have made this movie so much more funny.
if Felonious went.
Yeah, could you imagine Felonious went? That would have been hilarious.
um, but that's also.
Just
But
picture that.
also,
No, just picture
this,
that for like half a second. See, it's
but
magical.
also, I think, let's say Shrek wasn't an ogre, and he just simply was just a guy. He was just like simply a guy that Farquaad sent. I feel like,
He was just a hermit.
I mean, sure, or he's a human. He just wasn't an ogre. Like, what,
Okay.
just imagine that for a second. Like, I feel like the movie still again would have, the whole, obviously the lesson and like, yeah, beauty lies within and all that would not have obviously been relevant, but it still would have
It
been,
would have been a little
it still would
muted.
have been the whole, like, Prince, she ends up not with the prince, which, I mean, I guess Disney is starting to kind of go in that direction, so maybe that made
I
it made.
I think you just
I just started a Disney movie. Never mind. I was thinking about that. Like, could
yeah
this
no.
have worked if he wasn't an
I
ogre?
think you just sorry. I think you just described the premise of the movie Happily Never After. Of just a
Oh,
random guy goes to get a
I
princess.
remember.
It's like what if he was just a regular guy who went to go get the
I
princess? Like
remember.
I think you just described that movie.
I was going on a trip with my class, and we were in the car, and I remember someone was watching that, and people, like, it was like a TV, like, I think on the seat, and I think my friends were like, "Oh my god, look at the animation in that."
Oh, it looks horrendous.
But anyway, yeah. But anyway,
But yeah, I've seen a little bit of it. It's like this sounds really familiar. I don't know
but no,
why.
like, I was like, because this is basically, could it have worked? But then obviously that it wouldn't have worked, I guess, because then Fiona, the whole her being an ogre thing wouldn't have really made as much sense,
It's
and
like
it just.
yeah, it was just been like, oh, that's kind of cool and random.
My sister, I brought this up one time. I brought this up, I feel like, at times where it was on topic, and yet I get these weird looks when I've said it. You were probably there. I remember my sister and I were watching this. This was like a couple years back, and my sister said that she like wasn't gonna like it if she wouldn't have liked it if Fiona stayed a human and was still with Shrek. And I'm like, I mean, okay, like, whatever. But I was just like, well, think of those kids. And I meant, like, how were they going to look? Would they have looked more
Oh
ogre?
my
And
god.
I did not say this. She said this. She went, there's no way that his giant dick would have fit in her regular human sized vagina. And I'm like,
Oh my
oh my God. And
god.
then she's like, haven't you thought about this? I'm like, no, I have not thought about it at all.
No, that reminds me. You brought up the whole donkey dragon relationship
Oh,
later on.
yeah, I've thought about.
You brought up
She
you. Yeah, you made
Okay,
that a nightmare
I
for
thought
me.
about, she brought that other thing up, and then I brought that up, and I'm like, I thought about that later. I'm like, that is like, because but also, can we appreciate for a second that the dragon that's keeping her prisoner there eventually joins their group, and not only like I was like, in the scene where they're running, when they're escaping the castle of the dragon, I'm just like, isn't it weird? The dragon's gonna like be at their wedding and like Fiona's baby shower. Like, she's gonna be very, very in part. She could be like in their friend group.
She's the godmother of her children.
Pretty much. When we were watching the second one, my sister, maybe someone made the point that, so because Donkey takes the potion and turns into like the a
Oh yeah,
stallion.
yeah, like
So
every romance novel front cover ever.
so what is what did dragon turn into?
I have
Because it's a
thought
true
about that.
love.
I have no idea.
I never thought about that, and then I'm like, oh my god, yeah, like, it's not a distance thing. Shrek and Fiona weren't anywhere near each other when he drank the potion, so she totally turned. And also, we find out later she was pregnant. So was she
Yeah.
still pregnant when she changed? This opens up like, there's so many. I shouldn't have brought it up.
No,
But
like I've genuinely thought about that. Like I always assumed, like, did she turn into a horse too? And like, did she already like lay the?
I guess she
Also,
would have
did
turned
she
into
lay
a
egg?
beautiful version.
And also, did she lay eggs or did she have live birth? Because she's a reptile and he's a mammal. How does that work?
I'm assuming eggs, but I don't know why I'm assuming that. I mean, other than dragons lay eggs,
I
right?
yeah, I traditionally yes.
But also they're donkeys with dragon wings and they breathe
Yeah.
fire. um,
Yeah, that is
yeah,
nightmare fuel that there's just unchecked hybridization like that. So like can anything like that brings up a whole lot of questions in this world. Can like pretty much anything just like is everything like compatible in this world? Like can the gingerbread man like have kids? Can Pinocchio have kids? Like what's the limit?
that's
Like they're sentient talking trees in like the third one.
yeah,
It's like dude, were they born like that? I have
yeah.
so many questions about like the this movie introduces a lot of questions that I never knew I wanted to ask, and I'm
Yeah,
scared for asking them now.
yeah. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, good luck getting out of that rabbit hole.
um, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we left out.
uh, I think we can just kind of I kind of want to just jump around and do favorite parts. We've more
Oh
or less kind
yeah,
of covered
okay.
the main bulk of the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
So out of like this entire movie, the first one, what was like kind of like your favorite part of the movie?
I think my favorite part is the scene where Shrek. It's kind of like that whole sequence when Donkey goes to Shrek and they ride dragon because the score in that is so beautiful. And then I think when he gets goes to Fiona at the wedding to find just to admit and
Just to confront Farquaad and all that.
confront Farquaad and admit that he loves her, and it's like it's also just it's like sad and heart because that scene, that Hallelujah scene, is like so sad and such a
It really is.
perfect song. And like because she is like, she still doesn't seem to get like she needs to marry her true love, and Farquaad is not her true love. Like so that's why it was like, even if Farquaad had rescued her with like, I don't necessarily think they would have fallen in love, but also if Sharker went with Shrek, like she would have one still picked Shrek. Like, and I just kind of I love, they're also just, I love them as a couple. I feel like they are a romantic fairy tale couple that don't get, like, we all love Shrek and Fiona, but they don't get like the respect as one, if that makes sense. um I think that's probably my favorite scene, that and when they're rescuing Fiona, I guess, are my two favorites. What about you?
Yeah. Uh, it's a toss up. I really like the beginning like torture scene with like
Yeah.
Felonious and the Ginger Man. Like I like that and like the whole like Bachelorette like magic mirror bit. Like that's such an iconic scene to me. Like I feel like a lot of people can like quote like a lot of scenes throughout this movie, but I feel like that one is like probably one of the more quotable of like just like doing the whole like Muffin Man thing because like pretty much everyone knows that
Hmm.
now. And it's like, my lord, we found it. It's like, well, what are you
Bring
waiting
it
for? Bring
in.
it. Like I can
Yeah.
quote that. Like I can quote like pretty much like that entire scene like almost verbatim.
Hmm.
Like that seems really funny to me. And then I also really like the scene where uh uh Shrek and Donkey like get into like the arena when like uh Farquaad is like talking to his knights like, some of you may die, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. And then he goes into like a wrestling ring and just like just hits everyone, like knocks
The
everyone out, and like
chair.
one of the
Hit in the
ladies in the audience
chair.
like, yeah, they have a metal folding chair. It's just full on like wrestling in there. It's I think that scene's really funny to me, and just how absurd that the movie is and the comedy that they're gonna go to,
Yeah.
because that's something that you wouldn't see in a
No.
Disney
But I
movie.
also,
Like
yeah,
he drinks like a thing of like grog and then like knocks the whole thing
yeah,
open.
to add to that, I do love that when he punches it because it's timed so perfectly with the music. He's like, actually, and that scene where he says, "Can't we just settle this over a pint?" But with his accent, it sounds more like he's saying paint. And so as a kid, I thought he was like, "What are they all gonna
Yeah,
paint together?" I didn't know pint.
I thought so
um,
too. I thought
but
so
I do love
too.
the, yeah,
Yeah.
like, come on, and he like breaks barrel, and like it's timed so perfectly with the music. And yeah, I agree. I love Donkey on top of it and rolling it, and Farquaad's face. Like, what? But then actually, at the end of that scene, he wins. The audience is cheering, and then Farquaad, like, signs for all of the like guards to like aim like their uh crossbows.
Crossbows
I
at
like
him.
forgot what it's called. The crossbows at him. And then he's like, actually no. He says, "Oh no, I have a better idea." And I'm like, he gave the order for them to do that. When at what point was it? I'm trying to think. Like, was it because the audience was like all like gasping because they like him enough, they don't want him to die, that he's like, "Oh no, I'll send him on the
A,
quest."
a little bit,
Because
a little bit,
we
and
don't
this
see that
dude,
reaction from him.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think it was like a combination of that and like this one ogre was able to beat like my best knights. Like, screw it, let's just send him on this. If he dies, then I lose nothing. If he wins, then I gain the princess. I lose nothing and I gain nothing if he wins or
But
loses.
also,
Well, I gain a
to
princess.
like, yeah, and to add to that, like, when, because he beat them all just, wrestling and just complete and fighting, and
Like
it was completely,
very
yeah, and
nonchalantly.
completely unorthodox for how that fight was probably going to go. And then when he rescues Fiona, and she finds out he didn't beat the dragon yet, she's like, you're supposed to fight the dragon first, what everybody else did. And he's like, they're all dead, like right before they all burst into
It's
flames.
like it's on my
Like,
it's on my to-do
but
list.
it's like, of course he is the most unorthodox person. How he fights, of course he would be the one to save her, because, and he does say he saves her first, then goes and gets Donkey, and then they get out, as opposed to fighting the dragon first, because clearly everybody went the normal route of, let's fight the dragon first, and that doesn't work. So he did something different, and that's what got her out. So it makes sense why he, out of everybody, was the one to go. And yeah, I agree. That's a fun. There's no bad scene in this movie. Every this, like, there is not. I feel like if any, there are tiny, tiny things, like we said, like, how did him or Donkey like not hear the commotion of like the encampment starting? How did um
Yeah.
like those tiny things, but, or like, I can't help but be like, how is, so there's a dragon here, how is Fiona getting like food, and how is she surviving here? Is she just living in her
Magic. I don't
I also
know.
actually, I forgot to bring this up. I actually noticed, I think it was the last time I watched it, the during the I'm on my way, when they're on their way to like getting Fiona, and they make a fire one night, and then they're like stomping it out the next day. I never noticed this. You see
Oh
Donkey
yeah.
pee on it to put it out.
Yeah, and Shrek burns
And
his
I never
foot.
noticed that as a kid. And I noticed that, I think, like the last time I watched it, I was like, wait, what? I don't. It's subtle
Yeah,
enough.
I noticed that like immediately when I saw that as
It's.
a
I mean,
kid.
it's subtle enough. Like, I don't know. I think I just saw him lift his leg. I don't know what. I just saw. I think I just was watching Shrek, maybe, because he stepped on it, and then he kept going. I don't know. Um.
Yeah. Um so I guess it kind of goes into our final question. Sam, do you think this movie could happen in real life?
Um. Actually, I kind of want to say yes. I think. I think obviously there are some things that are kind of obviously a little unrealistic, but I think for the most part, I don't necessarily know if they would have fallen in love in like a day or a day and a half, but do I think that they like kind of get to know each other and like look,
It's a step
yeah,
in the
for
right
sure.
direction.
I think everything, the movie is obviously for the most part pretty logical, and kind of like the argument I just made. I think everything lines up, and it makes sense why the things happen that, the way they happen. So I want to say yes, at least for the most part. Yes,
I'm I'm gonna have to agree with you. This is gonna
we
be like
agree.
one of the few times where we agree that this. Yeah, I feel like this is like one of the few times where we actually do agree that this movie is going to happen the
What
way
was
that
the
it is
last
going to
movie we agreed
happen.
on? I don't even
I would
remember.
have to look back on that. I don't remember. I'm gonna have to look back in like the backlog of our
Yeah.
catalog of episodes. But it's been a while since we've a agreed on together, and two that it was, yes, this is can totally happen in real life. Um, yeah, no, this one it's a very plausible story. I feel like yeah, it's maybe not as exaggerated in their how quickly they fell in love with each other, but yeah, it's a step in the right direction. I feel like that's part of the charm
Hmm.
for this movie, and probably one of the reasons why this Shrek is now in the
That
Library of
doesn't
National
surprise me.
Congress. Yeah, like we got Citizen Kane, we got King Kong, and we got Shrek.
I
That
think this is
fits.
definitely like it's definitely one of the best animated movies of all time. I think it's so good. It's
it's
so like it's up there with whatever the is considered to be the best like Disney. I mean, it's completely different, but I
yeah,
think it's really good. It's really high quality. Again, this is a period of time where DreamWorks particularly is finding their stride and really and I mean again, other studios are following as well. And movie animation is not just dominated by Disney anymore. Other studios are
yeah,
starting to come into their own and tell stories the way they want to tell them, not the way Disney tells them. And like this is just like there's no I feel like there's no bad scene. Every scene is fun,
yeah.
or it's sad. Everything's entertaining. It's so good. It,
Yeah, because yeah, I and honestly, like I said this before, because like this after this movie, it kind of opened the floodgates of like 3D animated movies. Because like for the most part, like Pixar was like the only one doing stuff like this, and then it's like okay, let's try our hand at it, and then they made like all the Shrek sequels. We had Ice Age, we had Madagascar, we had Kung Fu Panda. Like it just so many like great animated 3D animated movies came out of this, and as they came out, they just kind of got in terms of like quality of how they look, they just kept getting better because they just kept improving on the foundation, the
yeah,
system that they already had. Like Kung Fu
Kung Fu
Panda, I
Panda's
think is a great movie.
Kung
I
Fu
think that's a
Panda's
really fun
great.
movie.
I was never that into Madagascar. I saw it once, the first one, like years ago, and I think that was it. Uh,
Yeah, it Madagascar. That one kind of
I
fluctuates
don't
with
know it
me,
that well.
and same with like the penguins of and penguins of
Yeah,
Madagascar and
I
all
don't
that.
know it that well. I think yeah, it's Kung Fu Panda's DreamWorks. Yeah, but yeah, Kung Fu Panda's another great.
Yes,
It's like it's fun and it's got a great message as well. And yeah,
that's a very similar message now that I
it's the
think
whole
about it.
like what you yeah I guess from Fiona's perspective, like what you're expecting to be the one is not necessarily going to appear as you would suspect, I guess. Um, but I think in like How to
Yeah,
Train Your Dragon, forget about it. It's so good. Like the third one is almost heartbreaking. Like I mean, it's beautiful. It's
oh
so
yeah,
good.
it's
There's
a
I mean, it's
tearjerker.
a
Yeah,
God. It's just DreamWorks again tells just such they tell stories differently, and they tell stories their way, and they do it well.
they managed to step out of the shadow that Disney has cast over like the animation market for children's animation, and DreamWorks is now like their own studio now, and rather than just a copycat
Do they
of
do they have a
Disney, which
copycat?
I felt like
What is our movie that you think is a ripoff of Disney? I don't
I
even I can't even think of DreamWorks
I
before.
well no I'm not really saying that they had like particular
Yeah.
like copycat movies. I'm just saying that like it was just a studio that's like, oh, it's DreamWorks. I'd rather watch Disney. It was an inferior studio. I feel like until like all these movies came out, and then they kind of made their own mark on
I
animation.
do
Sorry,
yeah, that's fine. I
I
do
had something
think
in my
they
throat.
have oh, I give oh my gosh. Okay, I'm looking up like all DreamWorks movies. I completely forgot. So B movie, the best movie of all time. It's DreamWorks.
Oh
I
God,
forgot Over the Hedge.
I
Do you,
I hate B movie. I'm gonna be honest with you. I do not like that
do you
movie.
remember Over the
I
Hedge?
saw I saw I saw that in theaters.
Um, and
I forgot about it promptly.
apparently, I guess they're doing a Shrek,
Oh, Shark Tale.
like a Shark Tale. Yeah, see, I will say, I think, I mean, you could say this for any
I
studio. I
I,
do
I
think,
have that on DVD.
I feel like that movie, I think I saw it once, and I don't remember it that well. Like, I think Shark Tale's a forgettable one, kind of. But I think they're doing a Shrek 5.
It's very forgettable, and yeah, I I've heard that they've been making Shrek 5 like on and off for the past couple of years,
I
and I've either that one's just a rumor or it's just stuck in development
I
hell. I
it
honestly don't know what's up with
says
that.
2022, and it's going to be like a reboot. Um but it's supposed to come out like next September.
I mean, who knows?
I
Honestly,
mean, yeah, like I who knows.
I mean, if you're from the future, tag us in the comments. Let us know how good Shrek
Yeah.
5 is.
Yeah, so I think we've kind of said all we are going to say about Shrek. Go watch Shrek if you've never seen it for some reason.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, first of all, shame on you. Second of all,
Buddy.
you're welcome for that song. But yeah, you're welcome for that song getting stuck in your head. I will get that song stuck in your head with one word. There we go. You're welcome. All right. On that note, I'm Kevin Tracy.
I'm Samantha Tomlinson. Please follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and like, subscribe, leave a review, or even make a suggestion on a movie you'd like us to do.
Otherwise, we're just gonna keep doing the same goofy stuff that we love doing.
So yeah, so keep listening for as we're gonna move forward with our like summer movies. It's gonna be fun.
Do you want to give them? You want to give them a hint on our next one, Sam?
I mean, what's a good hint? I'm trying to. It's a.
That's why I asked you.
I guess you could say it's a resurgence on a movie we did last year. It's Independence Day resurgence.
Wow, so subtle as a gunshot there, Sam.
Well, I mean, it's just the second Independence movie. I don't know Independence Day.
Wow, just straight up giving it away now. All right, have fun tuning in for that one next time, folks. In the meantime, I'm Kevin Tracy.
And I'm still Samantha Tomlinson.
All right, you've been listening to Movie Reel. Bye bye, folks.